Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Eike Sky, and welcome along to a slightly different race to what I'm used to doing. Unfortunately, the race wasn't able to get back home in time. He's having some internet troubles as well. So I will be covering the Tier 1 session for this evening of the Assetto Corsa Competizione GT3 League. All the way from Paul Ricard in France, and joining me as well, we're going to have Andrex UK in the comms box, giving a second set of eyes over proceedings.
Indeed. Some kind of thrown in a last minute here to kind of cover this, so it might be a little bit rough on the edges. Hopefully we'll see if we can try and find all the action and keep you guys all up to speed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, could be a good one.
Yep, Paul Ricard, well, they've already had a 3-hour race up at this track, so the drivers, most of them will know what they're doing and where they're going as far as the Paul Ricard circuit is concerned, and probably most of them will be just refining their lines and their setups from that endurance race. There's been whispers around, well, my DMs especially, about drivers wanting to do no stops and going the whole 90 minutes on a single fuel load and a single set of tyres, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's certainly a tactic. I think there's a couple of cars that can technically manage the full 90-minute race that we're running tonight. I think the Bentley and potentially the Ferrari as well could well be contenders for zero stopping. But it's that trade-off. You're missing out on the pit stop, but that slow tyre wear, the slower laps towards the end of the race might give the people that are pitted the opportunity to catch back up again, and with that extra grip be able to get past. So
yeah, absolutely.
There's several different places for passing on this track, so that extra grip could very well be the difference. But losing out on probably the best part of 40 odd seconds for a pit stop plus could very well jump you quite well up in the order. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
Sure. Absolutely, it will be. It will be a very interesting come the close of the race. So what we'll probably end up seeing as the drivers start to get some qualifying laps going in. Goldsaw not out on the field at all yet. What we will see towards the middle of the race, obviously, will be a split between the packs that have pitted and those that haven't. And it'll be a case of that will be the race. Will be those drivers that pit catching that essentially unarmed group at the head of the field, but it's if that 40 seconds is enough of a cushion come the end of the race.
Yeah, so it's going to kind of split the pack into two, and it might even split them a little bit earlier on as well, in terms of, do they go conservative with tyre wears, do they push hard and try and just keep up with everybody, have the same set of tyre wear, and then struggle towards the end, but have that kind of head start on them? Or do they kind of hold back a little bit and try and conserve the tyre wear, keep it so it's not completely dead towards the end of the race, but then you're losing a little bit of time per lap and allowing people to either pull away from you, or once you've not stopped and they have, let them catch up with you a bit. So yeah, it could be an interesting one for sure. There's different ways to play it for sure.
Yeah, yep. And because of that split in the strategy as well, we're going to see a lot of overtaking, simply because there's going to be drivers that can't afford to fight. They will not have the capability to fight. If they fight for a position at all and they aren't stopping, then that is going to ruin that strategy entirely.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see who goes when. Just trying to figure out, at the moment we don't really have an awful lot to go by in terms of times. But, if we're looking at the Bentley and potentially the Ferrari, just looking at some of the practice laps earlier on, the first Ferrari was Goldsaw, I think in P8, and this is just practice, so it's certainly not 100% accurate. But I don't think the first Bentley was. I don't see many Bentleys there at all.
Who would it be? Let's jump down towards the bottom. Actually, there aren't any. The 99 in 14th at the moment. 99 is
okay.
a. Oh no, it's an Aston. I'm getting my
badge is wrong.
badge is wrong. There are no Bentleys.
There is no Bentleys
in this field.
Okay.
So
potential Ferrari. Yeah, and at the moment, provisionally, first couple of laps or so out the way. Again, we've got a Ferrari in the top 10 with Bratz, which I think it's Goldsaw's teammate, looking by the liveries there.
Yep.
So hopefully if they can keep it in the top 10 and manage to do it without having to stop, that could be a very good strategy. It could work out for them.
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
Towards the back end of the grids, they're going to get the initial jump and track position on people after they're pitted, but they will be naturally slower than the guys that are up the front of the field that have pitted. So they will be catching up. But again, that might work in the strategy of some of the faster Ferraris. If they still have to get past them, yes, they'll be on fresh rubber and they should be a lot quicker, but catching somebody is one thing, and it is still technically 4 position, so they've got every right to defend in a line and hold somebody back.
Yep.
So they have to make the move, clean pass to get past people. So.
Yep, there really is some possibilities for some exceptional driving tonight, and some defensive driving as well. We're going to be keeping a very keen eye on that towards the middle of the race, because there are going to be people trying to compete and fight for higher positions on the grid than perhaps they deserve on raw pace, and that kind of grid shuffle always makes for fantastic racing, especially amongst the AOR boys and girls who are driving tonight. A couple of
Indeed.
times coming in, I think
very close to the full position at the moment.
I think everybody has done a lower half of the grid. We're missing about 8 lap times from the bottom of the grid.
Still 7 minutes to go, so again the track kind of gets a bit more rubbered in towards the end of the session. So you probably will find that they're not going to be setting their best laps in the first half. But I would like to see them with about 7 minutes to go. I'd like to see them kind of coming out to be able to kind of put in maybe 2-3 fast laps as well as their out laps. They don't want to leave it too late, but they want to try and get that optimal time for leaving the pit and getting that fast lap, ideally on the last lap.
Yes, absolutely, and that is going to be the time and the place that they're going to get it. The track is going to be in its best condition. Their tyres are going to be in their best condition if they've looked after them properly. The fuel is going to be as burnt off as it's ever going to be. That's going to be the time to go for it, and we may end up in a situation as we've been having in the Tier 2 of the GT3 League, where when the checkered flag flies is when all of the fast laps really start coming in. So you think when the checkered when the checkered comes out, that's the end of it. No, that's only the start.
Yeah, I'm just looking very close at the top there at the moment. Got Hissini, Jardy, currently holding provisional pole there with a 52.4, and 0.06 of a second behind him is Cavilion. So he's showing some pace at the moment there. They're both not really right at the top end of the championship at the moment right now. As you can see, Hissini's currently in 10th after what certainly appears to be a bit of a disastrous first race of the season, home 29th. But a good drive on race 2 there to come home 5th. But yeah, if he's holding pole at the moment, then we know he's got the pace. It's alien fast, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can hold on to that pole.
Yep,
Cavilion. Currently 7th in the championship with a 12th, a P12 and a P7 finish over the last 2 races. So fairly consistent, around about the top 10. So, and again, that's what kind of brings you home the points. If you keep on doing that consistently, you'll end up with a decent championship fight for sure.
Absolutely. We've got eyes on the number 7 Porsche at the moment of Kevin Seclari, leading the championship. He's won every race so far in this league, according to the paperwork that we've got. But currently sitting in 6th position in that Porsche. So again, another driver to watch obviously with a couple of pairs of fresh eyes on this particular tier, Seclari is very, very quick in the races that we've seen him previously, but struggling probably down that down that enormous back straight that the drivers are taking here at this Paul Ricard circuit.
Yeah, it's another one that it's the corner before leading onto that straight is obviously very critical. If you get a good drive out of that, and the Porsches obviously with their slightly kind of more rearward engine puts that weight over the back end to get that good traction. So it is known for getting a good power out of the corners.
Yeah.
Which if that's then running out onto the longest straight in the track, I don't think it's one of the top cars in terms of top speed, but I think it's certainly one of the favourite cars for this track there. You can see another portion top 4 at the moment there in the chorus. 1.3 behind Jardy at the moment so far. So yeah, there's still 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes to go. Most people are still out setting their laps now. But, yeah, it'll be interesting in the last couple of laps just to see. You can see him pushing really quite hard there, and really going for it. There's Carly, which I think is the teammate of Sicarly. Oh no, I'm still looking at Cigar.
So we seem to have a bit of a pace. Oh, 16 and 7 seem to have the same livery as the 16 overtakes the 7. So Clary takes to the inside to avoid any kind of further altercations with his teammate. Bit of a pace difference between those Mercedes. Those two Mercedes at the top. Again, proving to have that 1 lap pace. Again, we've seen that quite a few times. Over 1 lap, the Mercedes really can nail just that tiniest edge quicker than than some of the other cars. It seems that bit easier to get the performance out of. But over the race, that doesn't necessarily. They seem to use up their tyres, and they don't seem to have quite so much endurance as some of the mid-engine cars.
No, but starting on the front row is always a very kind of desirable part to have. Again, it doesn't matter if somebody behind you is faster than you if they can't get past you.
Absolutely.
As we see just improving on his pole time there, putting 0.3 to second place man there just now. From P2 down to, well, in fact, the top 8 are within us 1 second now. To be fair, it's quite a long track, so any kind of difference in pace is going to expand that difference. We've been used to seeing probably the top 20 in Tier 2 within 1 second of each other or so over the last couple of races.
Yep.
At the moment, as I say, it's kind of exaggerated with a slightly longer lap time. Normally you see kind of 1 minute 30 lap times on most tracks thereabouts, and as you can, we're running 150s here, so yeah, that being close to one another's not going to be quite as the same as some of the other tracks. But, I was expecting certainly the top 10 to be quite a bit closer to one another, but we'll see how it goes on the track, because where you start is not where you generally finish. So
absolutely,
it'll be interesting to see where they come at the checkered flag, as you say.
Absolutely, and it's after the checkered flag where the times really start to come down in these qualifying sessions. I'll tell you what we'll do. While we've got about 30 seconds before the end of the session, we've got M Noble coming across the line now in 3rd position, the 123 Lamborghini. Do you want to take us around a lap of this Paul Ricard circuit?
Yeah, so we've just kind of done the first couple of corners there, and he's just bailed.
Oh, what, really?
Yep.
This is the reason why they pre-record them.
Let's see if we can try and find somebody that's hopefully coming towards the... Well, I've got S-Rats that's just coming into turn 1 there just now, so there's a left-hander just as the clock finishes there. I've seen he has came out, but I think he's just doing a kind of one. Rats is now bailing.
Everyone's bailing. We'll have to get a ride on board during the race. There will be ample time for that, and in reality,
for sure,
it's only going to get more dramaful. I can't think of the word. Good grief! As we go in towards the night with this race.
Yeah, again, it's a 90-minute race, so it's not, I don't think, really fully considered as an endurance race, but it's certainly not really a kind of quick, sharp sprint. In terms of pitting wise, I say it is an open pit, so there's no mandatory stop. You do not have to pit, you do not have to change tyres. But again, it's a 90-minute race. Probably been quite a lot of strategy work by the drivers coming into tonight, having maybe practiced on a couple of different methods of when to pit. Technically, the optimal time's generally around the halfway mark, so 45 minutes through. But then you might be losing track time, and yeah, it's there's still quite a bit of tactics involved.
Yep.
Even though everybody's got the same kind of opportunity.
Yep.
It'd have been nice to see the Bentley up there, to be fair, tonight. But,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is something that we're treated to in Tier 2. We're going to be plugging it all night.
So we're seeing people pretty much finishing off there. Just watching Koros finish his last lap there. That puts him in P5 there just now. I think he's pretty much one of the only last people in the lap.
Yep.
Because I think Cassini is finished.
Yep.
I think that is us. So Cassini holds on to pole with a 0.3 of a second gap to Kabillion and P2 there in his Mercedes. So it's a Mercedes 1-2 on the grid. We've got Noble holding on the top third position there in his Lamborghini. Sicarli in a Porsche in P4, followed by two other Porsches of Koros on Montalbano. We've got Rats and Lozanov in the pair of Ferraris there. We've got Honzik. Sorry, I've been doing this all wrong. Alcini is not Jardy. Jardy is Honzik. So I deeply apologise. Jardy is holding a P9 at the moment there, and the top 10 is finished with Varela in his Aston Martin as well. We'll go through the rest of them as well, but we do have a formation lap to do, which will be a little bit slower tonight as well, just to allow people to catch up. And as you can see, it's pretty dark there.
That is gonna make for some fantastic camera shots, especially coming down the Mistral Straight.
Indeed.
And it's gonna make it even more challenging. Again, coming back to this strategy that's gonna be absolutely key in this race. It's gonna make it more difficult for the drivers that are chasing to pick out the braking points and the apexes when they're chasing a slower car. It's gonna be a fascinating race, and I do hope that we see a nice split between the different strategies.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. The first couple of laps are going to be the kind of normal potential chaos. Hopefully everybody's going to keep it calm and clean. Just get the first couple of laps out, settle down, sort yourselves out, get yourselves into a rhythm. It's probably a case where it's very tempting to kind of go for as many moves as you can early on to try and get that track position, but the risk, certainly with a 90-minute race, if you carry any kind of damage, it's just going to bleed lap time away, and it's just going to not destroy your race because there is that pit strategy that you're able to pull in a lap. But I suspect that most of these cars are probably able to do around anywhere between 60 to 70, 75 minutes or so on a full tank. So they need to at least get to about the sort of 20-minute, 25-minute mark before they can pit for the rest of the race. So they need to keep it clean. If they have to pit for damage before then they're probably going to have to come in again as well. So that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
If they can hold out for the first 20, 25 minutes or so, then they might kind of get away with it. But then again, that's going to be disrupting your ideal strategy. So you don't want to be throwing away a race just because you want to try and gain one place and it ending up costing you 10, 15 places.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And as well, we will see a lot of suboptimal strategies being played out as well, because the leading drivers, well, those who think that they're leading drivers will be wanting to not get stuck behind traffic, either that being lap traffic or just slower cars that they may have qualified behind. So we may see from that 25-minute window other drivers making those early pit stops just to get some clear air and get out before and get some fresh tyres on before the cars in front of them use what is referred to in the Formula 1 sectors as the undercut.
Yeah, indeed. We saw an interesting kind of race last week in the Tier 2 lobby there, where some of the guys kind of just seemed to stay out way past the optimal time for putting in for fresh tyres. So yeah, you kind of can potentially get into that tunnel vision, into the zone where you want to keep pushing, and you've got track position. You're in the top 2 or 3, and the car doesn't feel too bad. So you just keep going for that little bit longer. You just put an extra 5-6 laps even, and then you find that the people that did pit in the halfway mark, that have been running 5 or 6 laps on fresher tyres, end up jumping you by actually quite a significant margin, as we saw last week.
Well, we had it at one point where the cars that were being lapped were trying to unlap themselves because of the lack of pace of the leader.
And it's difficult to your lap times stay fairly consistent because your tires are dropping off grip, but your fuel's load's burning down, so your car's getting lighter, but you're not quite got the grip you had before. So the lap times stay fairly static. But as soon as you put these fresh tires on, then you suddenly just have this faster car because it's lighter fuel, and you've got fresh tires on. So your lap times, you could probably be gaining a second a lap or so. And if you've done 5 laps too many, that could easily be 5 or 6 positions you could lose out on. Certainly at these fast guys' pace, where they're very close and very fast.
Absolutely. So, down the Mistral straight for the first time. Not under race conditions, obviously. But now is probably a pretty good time to start going down that full grid as we are starting. So, Bassini will be leading the pack away. As we said before, Cavilian will pull away in a second. Noble will start in third in the first of the Lamborghinis. Ciclari in the first of the Porsches in fourth. Fantastic effort from Ciclari. And Chorus in the 27 will start fifth. Sixth will be Montalbano in the 16, which is a third Porsche. Seventh will be the first of the Ferraris for tonight, is in Rats. 8th will be Loznov, 9th will be Hosnik, and 10th will be Varela in the 99, which is an Aston.
It is indeed. We've also got Cryptic coming in the best of the rest, I guess, I suppose. P11 there in the Audi there, top Audi for tonight. You can see them kind of slowing down there, starting to look towards getting the 2x2 formation there. So Cryptic followed by one Co in his Mercedes. The Porsche of Lucky W and Betcher in the Ferrari. Empower running an Audi as well in 15th just now. And in the first of the McLarens, not the only McLaren. No, there is another McLaren back end there as well. Lawrence in 16th. Goals in 17th. Gold Saw in a Ferrari in 18th. And Dalking in 19th in an Audi. They're coming across the start line just now, so they're about to floor it. It's up to Hosini when to go. We will watch the start, and hopefully they'll survive turn 1.
Absolutely. That is a very, very slow start. Someone's breaking formation already. Oh, and there's an accident towards head of the field. Back of the field, sorry. With
Hosini floors it. He takes a good jump into turn 1. It's very close between several drivers in about the 5th or 6th position there. Several Porsches running very close to one another. Looks as if it's pretty clean so far. Again, more racing side by side there in sort of 14th, 15th position there. Very late on the brakes. There's a little bit of contact here and there as people are maybe slightly misjudging in the braking distances. They've got cold tyres, cold brakes. There's a little bit of contact there up ahead as well. Don't know quite who that was there. I don't know if it was Lawrence, perhaps.
Yeah, a bit of contact further back in the grid with the red Porsche. I think that was red. It was a Porsche anyway.
It looks as if that's it's a battle for P2 at the moment there. Cavillion just going. In fact, no, it's Noble stealing P2 there. It's just outright pace. I don't know if Cavillion got a bad exit. There's several of them going very wide on that fast right-hander there. But the Lambo goes into P2 there. Started third. Gained a position on lap 1. So going very nicely for Mike Knoll.
Yep, and we'll see how he progresses up towards the leading Mercedes. Now they're in racing conditions.
Indeed.
Split time, split time, split time. So down in 15th. Which it's stolen my cursor, that's what it's done. We've got Beck here in the yellow Ferrari. And he's getting chased by Wonko in the 666 Ferrari. So Wonko was getting quite a few laps in practice.
Mercedes.
Is it Mercedes?
He should be. Yes, he is in Mercedes. He's dropped down. He's 18th.
Yes.
He's lost it for a couple of places by the looks of things.
Yep. That was why the timing was off. They come across the split now, and now, there we go, Wonko in the 44. So what we were saying about being too greedy, Wonko trying to get to the inside of, I think that was Lawrence in front, going side by side, wheel to wheel impact, and losing himself about 3 or 4 places, may even be a 4th here from the 38 Audi. Just being too greedy.
Track of the guys up at the front here as well. Hassini is just pulling away. We're looking at about over a second and a half or so to Noble in second. Now he may have got held up. I suspect Cavillion maybe had a bit of a bad exit on that first lap, coming out onto the back straight there. That maybe held everybody up a little bit, but Hassini is certainly on a mission to disappear. We'll see if Noble can keep up. It is a very fast car on that straight. It looks as if he's actually closed up a little bit on the leader there, but yeah, it's a good place to have a strong car on the straight because it's the easiest place to overtake somebody. Easier to defend in the corner than it is on a long straight when somebody's got the draft behind you and just able to sneak past you.
Absolutely.
Can't really do much about it at that point unless it's in the braking zone. So
yep,
it's looking good for Noble at the moment.
You need to be very, very confident on the brakes to be able to defend from a car that's been drafting you for the best part of a mile.
Indeed.
And down into the last sector.
There is a lot of going on in P26 and thereabouts. There's about 2 or 3 wide exciting at times coming into the last kind of sector here.
Let's go down there. There we go. So on with the 991 Porsche at the moment. Yeah, everyone behaving themselves, which is always great to see.
Wenlock and Tuds. Oh no, Tuds looks as if he has. Cadet Pack looks as if he has gained a couple of positions actually. Seeing who that was, it is De Jong. Oh, but there's a dive on the inside into turn 1 there by Wenlock, but not quite close enough. Goes for the cut back. It looks as if he might actually have it because he'll have the inside for the next corner there. P32 might hold off and play safe. No, he goes for the pass. Very late on the brakes, but perfectly judged.
And some very good driving from Zhong there to not give him the place. That's a number 5. Mali from 24th.
Dropped down 31. Thereabouts. 32 perhaps.
Yeah,
lost a lot of positions there, spinning there. The top 5, well, apart from Hassini, who's still kind of just about holding that 1.5 second lead off Noble in P2 just now. Everyone else is around about a half second gap up to P5 between each other. Not really fighting each other, which is probably the most sensible option to do. You can fight later on, but the potential for throwing it away and losing 10 positions, this is not the time to be just spinning off the track and losing those track positions.
No, absolutely. as we said before race start, we were looking at around 25 minutes that they might possibly be able to start looking at pit stops, but still not. That's not the ideal time. We want to be looking at around the 45-minute mark for the optimal pit stop, but that will all depend on traffic and the fights that you're in, or whether you're attacking or defending. You can well imagine, as we see the muffler of the 22 Porsche glowing red hot in this night environment. Absolutely brilliant to see the details on this game.
Just looking a little bit further back there, just P27 there, Andrade, having a quick wee little look up on the right hander there. Looks if it's a kind of Marlboro McLaren sponsored, or Marlboro sponsored McLaren back in the day, the days of Senna and Prost running the McLarens. It's a nice little
That's a nice livery, that.
Personal colour scheme on that one.
Yeah.
I like that. He's looking for the pass. He's got the draft. Has he got the top end speed?
Just looking
He
to
pulls
the
out the draft, and it just seems to be static.
Nope. Yep.
Falling back a bit.
Pulls back in, so he knows he has the pace to get up along the side, but not past. So what you'll probably find, he pulls out a little bit early and drops back. Yeah, so that was top end speed. The Audi having slightly higher, slightly longer sixth gear, but runs.
But he's managing
wide.
to hold on the inside, and he's been holding it very tight.
Yep.
He's got the position technically, but it's a kind of double left-hander. But he's very late in the brakes, goes out wide. He'll be on the marbles there, which will not help, and he's just going to have to concede. Perhaps try and set it up, maybe for a turn one attack. The straight. Oh, that was very close. And that's the danger of attacking somebody, is you get it slightly wrong, and then you've got somebody right behind you who's very happy to steal a position off you if you're going to make a little mistake.
Absolutely, and now the 12 is on the defense.
And they're going to go three wide.
Grief. Let me.
I've lost him now.
Oh, a bit of a touch from the Aston as the McLaren goes very slowly into turn one. Somehow they remained in the same order as they came out of the last corner. Drive through for the number 4 Aston.
Wurzburger. Indeed, Wurzburger, so that must be for track limits, which we're only looking into lap 3 or 4 at the moment. That's a bit of a sad state if we're getting 3 warnings.
Yep.
Already.
That's a very, very costly mistake as well for the Aston driver. That's, if he's going to be getting that every 5 laps or so, that's going to be a very, very slow Aston Martin come the end of the race. Doesn't matter how quick you are, you're losing 10-20 seconds in the pits, and it'll take forever to make that time back up again in this field.
For sure. So Husseini extending his lead there. He's kind of just breaking the 2-second mark there, thereabouts. Noble still just piling in the laps there. Looking kind of comfortable there. Kavilian not really in a position where he can challenge. It would have to be that his car is probably stronger in either on the brakes or in the more twistier section there, like the final sector 3 there. But that Lambo does seem to have a lot of straight end speed, able to pull away from the Mercedes on the start finish straight there just now. Seems to be quite comfortable there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mercedes draws all the way up when it comes to the braking and the more twisty sections. You can't overtake in a corner, not when there's a car on your ideal racing line.
Unless you make a mistake, it is very difficult when you're getting to these sort of skill levels. Everybody's pretty much the same, very close to one another. So it kind of relies on them being that close that you're pressuring them into a mistake. But again, these guys don't really tend to make too many mistakes. So
No.
it's all very well sitting behind them and biding your time, but if that person ahead's not going to make the mistake, then you're then at the point where you're going to have to try and beat them on strategy. Maybe try the undercut, or if he pits before you, try the overcut. But from what I've seen so far, the undercut seems to be very strong, and so far the 2 races that we've covered, as far as I'm concerned anyway.
Yes, the tyres when they're fresh on seem to have a significant amount of pace. We did see a battle where it was split up by about 2 seconds, come a 2-lap split in pit strategy, and that's how much the undercut can gain you. But again, this is you're trading off that extra rubber
here for P15 there, Betcher and Lawrence.
Yeah, Ferrari.
Lawrence is goals in the Porsche, I think it is. I think Betcher must have gained that position then.
Yep, Ferrari going round the outside of goals.
Sorry, Ferrari getting past it.
Yeah. But this is the thing with that Ferrari not stopping in this race. It is technically possible, but this kind of fighting, this where you're having to rag the engine within an inch of its life, where you're having to grief, dropping behind in the straight.
Very quick in the straight. Yeah.
That was super quick. They must be running very low downforce to have that kind of overlap from a disadvantage. M-Power dropping down the field.
I think a lot of it is also that the exit of the corner, just getting that good drive out of the Porsche with that such good traction at the back end.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then followed by the draft of the car ahead of you. Then it sets you up there. But we'll see if this Ferrari is able to match the Porsche when he's in the slipstream. A good exit by both of them. And we'll see if he can either gain anything at all in the draft. It looks as if he is catching just very slightly. Is it going to be quick enough before the end of the straight? He's going to have to pull out to the left.
Yeah, he's going to have to do it the hard way.
But the Porsche is in an ideal position to defend. They'll be coming to braking point now. Ferrari is already past.
He's sideways
through that right-hander there, and that's a bit scary. Especially when you're following somebody that's sliding, because you don't know if they're in control or if they're just about to suddenly pointing a direction you're not expecting.
Absolutely. But again,
well driven. Good pass.
We'll assume that Becky is not looking to zero stop this race.
Slide in the Ferrari as well.
Yeah, those tyres are not happy with this fighting game.
Right outside, he's going to have the inside here, and he's got the position back again. Ferrari tucks back inside again. This is what we like to see, somewhere where the two different cars have different strengths at different parts of the track. One will get past one another in the straights, but then the other's able to fight back in the corners. So that fight could have some long legs left in it for all the way to the end of the race, potentially. We'll see how that develops.
Not to mention as well, that is playing into the hands of Lawrence behind these two. While these two squabble and use up their tyres and burn off their fuel, he can sit behind them and just enjoy the show, basically, until it comes to pitting time. He's going to have more life left in his tyres just following these two around, and perhaps more fuel. The less you have to refuel, the less time you're stuck in the pits, the more time you can be beating out those laps.
Indeed. It's quite close. The Marlboro McLaren, currently 23rd at the moment. There's the Mercedes of Greco just ahead of him. They're just going to be coming onto the back straight here. We'll see who's got the straight line speed out of these two, either the McLaren or the Mercedes.
Jump on board with him for a second. That looks like a lot of pace from the McLaren.
I think we saw that before, although it was the Ferrari against the Porsche previously. He's got the inside line as well, and the Mercedes didn't defend.
Nope, so side by side now, but the Mercedes just
through before the corner. He's able to get back onto the racing line as well. A late turn in, didn't quite catch the apex, but certainly close enough, and he's probably carrying a little bit more speed than he was the previous lap as well with the draft speed.
Yeah, absolutely. That is +1 position for Andrade, past the Mercedes of Police.
And I think he was almost last on the qualifying, or very close to last when I was watching him anyway. So he's up into 22nd already. So that's a good 6 positions at least from pace by the looks of things.
Yep, 650S. Good. Still doing very good work, even a few years after it has been retired by McLaren Racing.
Indeed. Just catching up at the front again there, we've got Noble, who's just under 3 seconds behind Hassini. But he's actually managing to pull a bit of a gap on the Mercedes behind him in this little Lambo Mercedes sandwich going on here. Cavillon currently third, just under 2 seconds behind Noble's Lambo just now. And then there's a little group of Porsches behind that, all running down that that back straight. Sorry, a couple of seconds between each of those thereabouts.
That actually sounds like something that we want to be seeing. One of those Porsches.
Actually, Andrade, there's Marlboro McLaren again, is on the attack on that back straight again.
Oh, is he?
This time the Mercedes ahead of him does hold a defensive line, and the McLaren doesn't seem to quite have a straight line pace to get past.
But the
behind him again.
Mercedes
looks at the inside. I don't think he's going to go for a position here, but he's just trying to upset Palais. Just let him know that he's there, trying to make him pressure him into mistake.
Yep. But Andretti would have been
Ferrari ahead.
Would be, I was going to say,
a little bit wide. Good recovery onto that apex there, though. Gathers it up nicely.
I was going to say, Andretti would have been at a disadvantage down that straight because Palais had the Ferrari to draft off as well.
Indeed.
If that Ferrari is running a low drag setup to try and get the max speed down the Mistral straight, which would be advisable, it's definitely a way you can run the cars.
He's looking. Palais is looking a little bit feisty to try and get past that Ferrari ahead of him.
Yep, but the McLaren's looking to the inside.
It is, and it's a left-hander for turn one.
Off the
quite positioned to get side by side.
It's going to be on the brakes if at all, but no.
It's very late for Palais. He's gone slightly over the white line there, but again he kind of manages to pull it back on again. But you can just see how much of a gap that's created to the Ferrari ahead of him there. Amato able to pull a little bit of a gap. Well, the 3 cars behind him are initially trying to fight their way past the Ferrari, and now kind of tripping themselves over each other and losing time for it.
Yep, and then Andretti, through that failed attack on Palais, dropped right back into the clutches of Machowski in 23rd in the 11, who was the car he just overtaken. So it's a very much give and take game. Is this whole overtaking thing?
Yeah, a bit of a battle going on in there for P6, 7 and 8 there. Montalbano, Rats and Lozanov. Porsche, Ferrari, all very close to one another. Keeping it clean and respectful out there, it's always good to see.
Did I see that correctly? Ciclari is starting to close up to that third place Mercedes, or has he always been around 0.8 of a second back?
He's been around about a second or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Cavillon must have made another mistake because he's 3.3 behind Noble now, and I think it was just over 2 seconds the previous lap. So Cavillon must have made a mistake again. I can only assume he made a mistake on that lap 1 to donate the position to Noble, really. But we'll see. He's still holding a good pace there. If he manages to not make any mistakes, then he should seem okay and potentially challenge back for that. Certainly keep a hold of that podium position just now. But yes, Ciclari does seem to be. He's in the kind of draft distance just now, so he'll be getting a little bit of tow from the Mercedes ahead of him. He does seem to be catching a little bit. But, yeah. Another fight that could last a while, certainly if the Mercedes driver's making a little mistake here and there.
Yeah, so Clara having to have 2 bites of the cherry turning into the corner at the end of the Mistral straight, which is Signet. Not quite as settled as perhaps he may have liked to have had that
fight here, and 23rd there, going 2 wide and just about to make it 3 wide before on the back straight here.
There we go. Wow.
And Mercedes on the inside, McLaren in the middle, and a Porsche on the outside. Then they touch. I'm not sure quite whose mistake that was. It looked as if the McLaren may have moved over a little bit left to
Yep.
try and give the Mercedes a bit more room coming into the turning point. Maybe didn't realise he wasn't fully past the Porsche, and I think he may have just kind of taken himself out, unfortunately, which is a bit of a disaster, because he was doing very well.
Yep. Absolutely.
He's not going again, but he is sliding all over the place.
Oh no! Is that some quite severe suspension damage that we're looking
Looked
at?
as if, I suspect, a very high speed of contact with the wall
Yes.
was made at the end of that one.
Yeah.
He looks as if he's parked it there.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's got going again. And again, it's a 90-minute race. So he gets going again, puts it in the pits, gets repaired.
He's got
fresh
time.
tires. Then yeah, it's definitely not handling very well at all. He's
Okay.
struggling and very much off the track right now. Needs to get that into that garage and get repaired. It could be a very long pit stop for that chap.
But here's the thing.
That's a shame.
Here's the thing. What's that timer at right now?
He's certainly within the window. I'm sure we'll see him coming across.
There we go.
Slight issues going to. Well, the second issue is that with that extended pit time, with the repairs that need to be done on there, he's going to get probably put back into the clutches of the guys that are going to be lapping him, which means he then has to kind of do slow laps as he lets people pass with the blue flag. So it kind of just snowballs and gets worse and worse. You suffer from the damage from getting a slow lap, then you have to do the repair, and then you're getting lapped by people left, right, and centre. Hopefully, he can find a bit of a gap on the track somewhere where he can use his tyres, keep up with the faster guys at the front end with his fresh tyres. But yeah, that's certainly not gone to plan.
No, but we may, as I say, we may see, especially if he drops out into. He's still in the pits now, and Rats is coming past now in 7th. So then we're getting down towards the. He may go an entire lap down, but he may also be able to come out into some of the traffic that he's at the same pace at. At which point, he will be able to follow in those tyre tracks and make the fuel last, make the tyres last.
Yeah, for sure. And there's points all the way down to, I think, top 40 now. Obviously, there's not 40 drivers in here tonight. But if there is anybody that isn't racing tonight, or if anybody gets a DNF, then even coming back home in P27 is going to bring in a not insignificant amount of points. Certainly better than nothing, so it's definitely worth getting towards the end. I can see Pally's in the pits there as well. Andrade's just leaving the box now, so certainly lost a lap down to everyone.
Andrade,
but he should have some nice clean track
good
in front and behind him, so he'll be able to use that hopefully nice repaired car. I don't know if Pally's is a scheduled stop. Again, I don't think strategically it's the optimal time to pit, but if he's getting held up by traffic, then you don't want to be losing time by not being held up by somebody. If then perhaps pit early, get those fresh tyres on, try and make them work as much as you can early on, get the track position, and then hope that you can defend it with the slightly more worn tyres at the end of the race.
So, Marlon Andrade, currently sitting 35th in the championship. His last time out, he got 28th. So as you say, if we get, well, he's already improving his position. If we get any DNFs, if he gets any kind of good luck from this race at all, we're looking at an improvement, and it may well make a significant difference to his championship position. With only a couple of points separating, well, he's on 13 at the moment. If he got 7 points, that would take him up to around 28th, assuming that no one else, like there were the DNFs, no one else scored. That's a 5 to 7 place jump. It's very close, even down the bottom of the championship at this point. So it's absolutely worth sticking in there, and all of this effort that he's just gone to get the car repaired and get back out on track 2 laps down. Still absolutely worth it. The points will still count, however many laps down you are.
For sure, and it's only an 8-race championship, so you need to be pulling in as many points as you can. You can't really afford to be dropping any finishes. You certainly don't want any DNFs, because there'll be other people that, even if they come in last, as you say, bring home points for 27th. If you do that every week, you're not going to be last by the end of the championship. I guarantee you that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, is that if you're not last, it's definitely something you can put in your signature on the forum and be proud about.
It's very easy to just throw in the towel after an incident like that. And perhaps you might even think it wasn't your fault. You feel that you're completely innocent, that you've had your race wrecked by somebody else. And it's very easy just to park up and go off and say, yeah, that's just, I'm very upset, very angry about the whole thing. But I think you're showing signs of a kind of mature racer there, and just that, yes, it's gone horribly wrong. You might not be fighting anybody, you might not have an exciting or fun race compared to. He looked as if he was doing quite well, gaining positions from the start. And suddenly that's completely changed and no longer the case. But yeah, bring it home, get some points on the board. There will be people that don't finish, or people that haven't or are unable to race tonight or any other race in the season, and that's 3 points.
Yeah.
Even if you just bumble around in last place, they're points, and you've got to pull in the point.
Yeah, every point counts, especially
We've got Sicarli in P4 looking at a potential pass coming up in the back straight here. He's on the outside there against Gavillin's Mercedes, but he has definitely caught up. He's round the outside very wide, giving a lot of space, but they're still too wide. But it's a very long right-hander coming up here. Mercedes holding the inside line there, should be safe to hold on to that position, but Gavillin's certainly struggling there. 4.6 seconds behind Noble now, so definitely dropping lap time. And as we can clearly see here, we've got 2 Porsches that are chasing him down and looking quite strong, and as if they have the pace to definitely catch and potentially pass. It looked very strong in that start-finish straight, the back straight again. Sorry.
Yep.
It's just this drive out of that these last critical corners that are going onto the straights. The Porsche just seems to have such a good amount of grip at the back end to get that power down. Looking at the inside, I don't think he's even really considering a pass there, to be honest. He's just making himself being seen in the mirrors, making Gavillin look behind him, which, as we can see, he's a race winner 2 out of 2 so far. Anything can happen for sure. It only needs the 2 guys ahead of him to have a disaster, and then he's back at the front. But yeah, it looks as if there's actually a lapped car ahead of him there just now as well, that they're going to have to negotiate fairly soon.
Just make things even more complicated.
Well, it'll actually give him maybe a little bit of draft along this back straight, which he'd be very happy for.
Yeah, absolutely.
See this Porsche, he's weaving back and forth trying to break that toe, but look at the Porsche coming through there. It's very fast on the straight, giving him a little flash, which is a little bit unsporting. Shouldn't be doing that, it's a bit distracting. Is he going to have enough speed to get there before the braking point? Not quite.
He's going to narrow it.
Cut back, but not quite. Mercedes driver managing to hold a good line through there. Didn't really have to compromise too much. It's actually Koros that seems to be just ready to pick up any places from these guys squabbling ahead of them.
Well, absolutely. With Caviar having to narrow his entry point into that very, very fast corner off of the Mistral Straight, he doesn't have the opportunity to maintain such a high speed into the long right-hander afterwards. So yeah, make no mistake, these 2 fighting is slowing both of them up, and it will at some point end up playing into Koros's hands. How hard he's going to fight for Sicarli being in another Porsche, we have yet to be seen. There's another Porsche of Montalbano waiting 3 seconds back in the wings, just in case anything happens to any of these 3 drivers in this fight as well.
For sure, just needs a little bit of contact just to turn somebody around, and you're probably going to lose the best part of 10 seconds.
Yep.
And at this stage, you're probably looking at maybe 4 or 5 positions there, easily just gone down the drain.
Yep.
You can see the, I think it's the McLaren, Mercedes, black Mercedes there, getting out of the way nicely there. And this is what Andrew doesn't have to deal with, but Pallies unfortunately does, is that he is now in the thick of the fast guys at the front of the field, now catching him, even though he's perhaps on nicer tyres, that he's going to have to lose time by moving out the way and letting these guys get past him. Now you can kind of do it strategically in places where you control the pass, like in the straight. It's a lot easier to let them pass on a straight, and then tuck back in again, back on the racing line again, so you're not compromising your corner and so on. You have to let them pass, so you may as well do it kind of at the least disadvantaging place. I think I just made up a word there, but we'll go with it. But yeah, he's going to be not able to extract the lap times that he could do on those fresh tyres there.
Absolutely.
Hopefully he can keep a good pace up and not have to let the whole field pass. But you can see, I think it's well, you mentioned before there, I think it's Montalbano is now catching up. He's next in line to go past. And even though he's on the older tyres, he does seem to be catching up with somebody else leading the pits, and we've got a drive through for Batcher. Yellow Ferrari with number 46 here, currently holding P16.
So that drive through is going to cost him 10 seconds, which is going to be 4 places.
Easily 10 seconds.
Easily 10 seconds. Yeah.
For sure.
If he doesn't get anything else wrong.
Indeed.
So, as we follow this fight over what is essentially 3rd position, Mercedes has a much later entry, a much narrower line onto the Mistral straight, and starts weaving now as Seclari starts flashing. So, Andres, give me your opinion here. Weaving, it's a straight, so I guess it's kind of okay, but at the same time,
it's legal at that point. He's not actually defending. He's just trying to break the toe. They go side by side into this fast right hander. The Mercedes managing to hold the inside line, going 2x2 through that corner nicely, cleanly. No contact there, and again you can just see the second Porsche just saying, "I'm here, boys. You guys just want to take yourself out." Personally, I might be inclined to just sit back a little bit more, because there's every chance that there's more chance of them taking each other out and spinning out and potentially collecting you, as there is you managing to jump both of them in one go.
Yeah.
So I personally would play safe, hold back a little bit more, and just see what happens. It looks as if they've both at least got the pace to go past the Mercedes. It's just almost more of a question of when as opposed to if. And he's managing to actually hold the inside there, but again, he's just a little bit too far back.
Yeah, that start-finish straight is just not quite long enough for the Porsche to stretch his legs. Yeah.
So yeah, going back to it, it's technically legal. He's not defending, so he's not weaving in terms of. So the regulation is that you have to choose your line and stick to it when you're defending. At that point, he's not actually technically defending. He's just trying to break the toe. And you can see the 2 Porsches behind him getting very close. We'll see if Koros is deciding to have a go. Going to get the draft here as well. So you can just see the Mercedes again just pulling to the left there. He might start to move to the right again, and then back over to the left again. So just trying to break that little bit of toe, because that's where the Porsche is strong against the Mercedes.
Yeah.
He's able to hold it okay pretty much everywhere else, but this is clearly the best opportunity on track for where the Porsche can get past him. And the leading Porsche there just goes a little bit wide there in that fast right-hander there. very easy to go just a little bit too long, and the rumble strip on the outside of that corner can easily just spit you out and end up
Drags you off the
making you
track.
go wide, if not spinning, giving you a half spin at best.
Yep.
So you can see here that Mercedes has managed to gain a little bit of breathing space there. Two Porsches are kind of... I don't think they're really battling. I think Koros is probably a case of, look, I'll just follow you. You go catch him back up again. You have a go. You get past him, and then I'll have a go as well afterwards. But I'm not. I won't fight you. You just do your thing. Don't slow yourself up. Don't defend. Because that's just going to compromise your lap times. Then we both won't catch him.
Yep.
So a bit of strategy again. Not teammates, but again, it's thinking of the best way to get the position, to gain a position to win the race. And at this stage, not attacking is probably for the better for both of them at this stage just now.
Yep. And let's be very real now. We're getting to the point where we're approaching halfway through the race, and if I was Chorus right now, looking at the gap in front, looking at the cars that are in front, I would be seriously considering pitting.
It's a case of, and I don't know how long the pit stop takes. I think you're probably looking at around about 10-15 seconds for the amount of fuel that they will need. Which I think if you do tyres, and the tyres and fuel can be done both at the same time, Chorus looks really quite strong coming through that corner as opposed to Siglari just seems a little bit loose at times. Chorus just seems quite well planted there, and later on the brakes there as well. So I think it's now at the point where you think, okay, shall I have a go at trying to get past Clary, and then chase after Cavillon? As you can see, Cavillon at the moment is now able to kind of just pull away a little bit and have that little breathing, and it's Clary that jumps in first, and it's followed by teammate behind him as well, Montalbano. So they're both pitting. I believe they can certainly do tyres and fuel at the same time, so it's probably optimal to run a little bit lighter fuel rather than kind of a full tank and then say a quarter of a tank. I think strategically you can run as light as possible so that the amount of fuel you're putting in matches the tyre stop. So if the tyre stop takes 30 seconds, which I think it does, you may as well run light enough at the start of the race to have to put in 30 seconds worth of fuel as they both come out quite close to one another in the pit stop there. His teammate having gained a little bit on him. But if you can run a little bit lighter to start with, so you're able to get the faster lap times. You're not losing anything because you're static for the 30 seconds anyway.
Yep.
So you may as well put fuel in during that point of the pit stop anyway. So yeah, you can see. I think it's another Porsche that's just managed to sneak in between the two of them there. I don't know what position that is. But looks like it's a red and bluish Porsche there. So
Clary, in his pit stop, has dropped to 21st on the driver ticker. There we go. From 4th.
Yeah, it was 4th. He was the first one to jump into the pits there. Again, as I say, with his teammate there, who's now just kind of trapped behind De Jong. We'll see if he can manage to sneak past on the straight.
Chorus is
if he's a little bit quicker.
Reacting to Siglari as well.
Indeed. I've not really covered the front couple of guys here, to be fair, but the gaps do seem to be continuing to increase. Harsini there, I think he lost it at the split there, but 6 seconds back to Mike in his Lambo there, and then Cavillon is a further 8 seconds behind Mike as well. So those gaps are increasing. But that has now put Rats into P4. Let's see what that does to these guys here.
Seeing the split times come through. So, Cavallon only had about 5 seconds to the Ferrari, so they're both on the Mistral straight right now. That's how much that fighting with Seclari was slowing up. The Mercedes was like what was essentially 6th position was catching at quite a rate of knots, and is still catching. 4.5 the gap comes down to.
Indeed, I see another couple of people pitting there. Betcher is in the pits. Jong is also in the pits there just now. So 45 minutes left of the race. This is pretty much smack bang right in the middle of the race. We've got Maim with a drive through in his Porsche, currently P24 there. Let's see if there's some people close there. Gold Saw challenging the back of I think it's Varela there, the 99 Aston Martin there. As we see a couple of guys, and Gold Saw included, jumping into the pits. The Aston right in front of him, making a little bit of a mess of that one, but getting away with it.
Now, Gold Saw's actually an interesting one. If we look at his championship standings, he's sitting. Bearing in mind how dominant he was when we did the 3 hours at this track, and he was in a Ferrari. He's got disqualified from the previous 2 rounds of the championship.
Oh.
So for whatever reason, I would assume it's something like track limits and not serving his drive-through or something akin to that.
Something like that, yeah.
But he has been disqualified from both rounds so far. So currently sitting at 8th, he's been hovering around the low teen mark. This would be some very good solid points for him to start his championship charge.
Indeed. So we've got Rats, who's currently P4 there. P4 and 5, both Ferraris are top Ferrari drivers at the moment there. From my understanding, the Ferrari out of this field is the only one that can potentially make the full 90 minutes. Now, I don't know if that's definitely the case or not, but that is my understanding. That's certainly been mentioned before. I know the Bentley can,
yep.
But my understanding was Ferrari is the only other one. That's Husseini comes into the pits there from the lead there. He's got I think it's just over 6-second lead on Mike. We'll see how far back that puts him into traffic now. Hopefully he gets a clean track as he comes back out again to use these tyres, but he's looking pretty comfortable at the moment there just now.
Yep.
Cavillon also into the pits as well as Rats, so that's the 2 Ferraris that are pitting from what wasn't originally there, P4 and 5. I think it's technically 6 and 7 because we do have a couple of guys ahead of them, or behind them now, that have pitted before them.
News from further down the grid, Chorus has taken Seclari. So that 27 Porsche was looking very, very happy to sit behind the number 7. It turns out it's also very happy to sit in front of it as well.
Indeed, I don't know if that was pit strategy, less time in the stop, or maybe Seclari made a mistake somewhere. But yes, positions changed.
Judging by,
if he managed to hold on to it.
Yeah, judging by the gap that it was, I do think that was Seclari spending slightly longer in the pits. Maybe he'd accrued some damage from fighting with that Mercedes, which needed to be repaired.
Potentially, because Montalbano seems to have kind of closed up a little bit on the pair of them. He was around about the same distance that he is now behind Chorus, but now he has Seclari in between them. So if he's made either a mistake or, as you say, a slightly longer pit stop, then yeah, that could very well explain why he's now behind the white and blue Porsche. Very nice colour scheme on Koros's 911.
Oh yeah, the white and blue. Yeah, no, that's a really nice scheme. Also noteworthy, yeah. So the gaps have averaged out between what was the trio fighting for third, and is now starting to include Montalbano in that fight. So Noble's currently running around in first, with Hassini having pitted.
Looking at P15 Gold Saw on the back straight here in the draft Cryptics Audi there, looks like he might have enough space and speed to get past him. He dives to the inside. Audi doesn't defend, so I think he's probably just happy to say, tell you what, you're faster. You go on, do your thing. I'll just sit and do my lap times, and we'll just see where we'll finish up at the end of the race. Because if you're defending, you're losing time, and it just gives the opportunity to the guys behind to catch up on you. And we've seen that firsthand from some of the other guys there, in terms of Ciclari and Montbaro and Koros and Cavilion. So I think looking at who is where, Cassini is currently P4, and he's the top driver that has pitted. Mali and Amato, I don't think have pitted. We've got Cavilion, who has pitted in P7. So we're kind of waiting for Noble and Honzik to pit, and Oneko as well. So the current top three still have pit. Yeah, a good showing by Oneko. He's been kind of stealthily sneaking up the order there now again. We know that obviously some people that are behind him have already pitted. Not. But yeah, it's a solid drive for the Mercedes driver there. And I've just seen a drive-through appear for Varela in P13. So again, not great to be picking up a drive-through, because yeah, it's going to be a lot of time lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Noble dives into the pits there from the lead. A Lambo is in.
Finally giving up.
Now he was about, I think it was about 6 seconds behind Hassini. So he's dropped off the jacks and going again. He's got most of the pit under that pit limiter to have to go through.
However,
see if Hassini's just coming out of the last corner there just now. And Hassini's still under the pit limiter. Hassini's crossing the line now, and he's just going to sneak past, I think. Go past now. So again, I think, as I say, the gap was around about 6 seconds. Again, putting in that earlier stop, getting that back out on track with the fresh rubber, as long as you don't get kind of stuck behind somebody else that is on bad tyres, it does seem to give you a general advantage. Putting in perhaps 2, maybe 3 laps of maybe a second a lap quicker on those fresh tyres.
Yep.
We'll just see. Now it does actually look, from the first split time coming up, that the gap is back to 6 seconds again. So it doesn't seem to have gained anything from the technical undercut, although I don't think he really needs to undercut. But they come out pretty much as they went in, thereabouts. And Mr. Lawrence has a drive-through in the McLaren. He is in the pits just now, so I strongly suspect that is going to be speeding in pit lane. And our unfortunate Marlboro McLaren driver, Andrade, also has a drive-through, so his night is just getting worse. But that said, he's P25 now.
Yep. So that's
more points.
Yep, more points. So Noble is going to have, as we were saying just now, about 2 laps or so, where he can use the pace of these new tyres to pull up to the back of Hassini, and then he's gonna have to start using the aero, if he can, to get to the back of that Mercedes and hope that this set of tyres that Hassini has dropped onto, that's the gap to Oneko. So over that second sector, Hassini caught up to Oneko by 2 seconds. just to give you the
Yeah,
idea.
indeed.
But they're in the same car.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting how that plays out. Just looking up in the chat and the stream there just now, picking up a comment that David M has brought up. Indicator of how many pit stops each driver has done would be nice. It is technically there, not showing the number of stops that people have done, but if you look at the green stripe, it will show that they do not need to serve a pit stop. This is a 90-minute race tonight. Normal races are the 60-minute races where there is a mandatory stop. And what you will normally see is that you'll have an orange stripe next to your race number there, and it will turn green once you have served your pit stop. So it doesn't technically show how many pit stops you've done. And in tonight's race, it doesn't show you if you have pitted or not. But on a normal race, so next week, last week, it would show if they have pitted, so you can kind of work out who's pitted, who hasn't, who's where, and what's going on in terms of who's actually fighting who. But yeah, so to answer your question, kind of does and it kind of doesn't, but it just depends on if it's a 90-minute race or a 60-minute race. As you can see, I've seen it just navigating past some back markers there as well.
If it's a mandatory pit stop, then you can tell whether they've taken that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So in those regards, it's useful, but at the same time, it wouldn't. If we were seeing Ferraris going like 0 stops, then that would like mislead the timing screens, wouldn't it? Really.
Indeed, yeah.
You'd be expecting a pit stop from...
Cavilion has a drive-through.
No way!
And he is serving it now, I believe, because he has already pitted.
Unless he's accrued it from dropping into the pits for some reason.
Perhaps speeding in the pit lane.
Possibly, but that's going to free up those 2 Porsches.
Indeed.
Still behind. So Wonko's dropping down now. There we go. So Hassini will drop into 2nd position.
Varela is serving his drive-through at the moment as well. So currently Honzik and his blue and red Aston Martin are in the lead at the moment, just coming onto the back straight now. In fact, no, he's not. That's a complete lie. Just coming onto the start-finish straight now. Currently leads, see if he comes into this pits. He does not. He carries on to do another lap. I don't know exactly where he was. I think he was about 5th or 6th or so. So we'll see what happens when he comes out of the pits. In fact, I think he must have been behind Montalbano, which is P7. I don't know if Rats was ahead or behind him. Yeah, I suspect he's going to be about 8th or 9th or somewhere close to that position when he serves his pit stop and comes back out again. But again, as we saw from last week, the later you leave it, the worse it seems to go, unless he's somehow found a way to get this much pace out of the car whilst using a lower fuel map that will allow him to save enough to not have to stop. We'll see what kind of advantage he has over Hassini, hopefully fairly soon when Hassini crosses the next sector marker.
More,
but
29 seconds. Wow.
So I would be very surprised if anybody can really get it to the end without having to stop. And if he does, then
he's going to have no time.
He's going to be losing time right now, and I would strongly suggest that pitting as early as possible would be to his advantage. Unless he can get it to the end, then he really wants to be getting some fresh rubber in there.
Yeah. So we're looking at...
Unless he's just not going to change tyres and just going in for a small amount of fuel.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
I don't know how much fuel is required. I know if he's changing tyres, it's around about 30 seconds. I think it's exactly 30 seconds.
Yes.
So if he's not changing tyres and he's been conserving them the first 3/4 of the race, and he only needs fuel, And if he's been conserving tyres, he's probably conserving fuel as a result of that as well.
Yep.
So the fuel going into the pit stop will be less. If he can manage to do it without having to change the tyres as well, then you're probably looking at around about maybe a 15 seconds static pit stop, as opposed to the 30 seconds. So you've suddenly gained 15 seconds. But I will, well, I'm fairly constantly amazed by his driving ability, to be honest, anyway. But if he can make this work where he doesn't have to change tyres, or if he doesn't have fuel and doesn't have to change tyres, then I'll be absolutely amazed.
But then again, that even if he had to refuel, and like just survive on the tyres, a 15-second stop would put him currently second.
Well, that's only the actual static time in terms of time loss of the pit lane limiter speed as well. You're probably looking at around about 40 seconds. Well, between 30 and 40 seconds.
Okay.
I guess.
So it's not that bad.
I suspect before everyone pitted, he was in the top 10.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested. I'd love to see him going to the end, or
totally.
just pitting for fuel, to see if that strategy gains.
You're not going to win by doing the same as everyone else, but if you do something different, you might. Pretty much.
I wouldn't say nothing to lose, but it's worth the gamble.
Absolutely.
It looks like he lost around about a second this lap to Honzik there. He's dropped to 28 seconds gap to P2 there. But if he is able to get, certainly if he's able to get there on these set of tyres and not have to refuel, then that he can afford to lose about almost a second a lap.
Exactly. Well, no, he can afford to lose a second a lap, because a lap will be like just under 2 minutes.
Yep.
And that means
probably afford to lose 2 seconds a lap.
Well, exactly. If
I'm almost tempted to jump onto the stream just to see how his fuel is doing, but I'm not going to do it. I like the suspense.
I'm astounded. I really am astounded at the how many different ways we're seeing this done. And let's remember, the Aston isn't a car that can go to the end on fuel.
In theory,
certainly
not if you're running the top fuel map for the best speed and lap times.
Absolutely.
But you can dial it back, and if you do that, as I say again, you're going to be kind of saving on tyre wear because the car's not putting in the aggressive lap times. So you're conserving fuel, you're conserving tyres, so there's potential in it. And as I say, if you're stopping for tyres, as I say, tyres, if you're changing tyres, that's 30 seconds straight away.
Yep.
Plus the pit limited time that you're going to be losing is probably another 15-20 seconds on there. So you're looking at least, I would say, 50 seconds. Now, if you can tame the car down a bit so that it's running on a much leaner fuel mixture and a fuel map, that you've got 50 seconds to lose. Over a 90-minute race. Yep. That's almost a second a minute.
And here's the thing as well: is again, like when Hosnick may not be looking for a win here. He may just be looking for really solid points. So even if Hosini catches and overtakes him, he's in second.
Yep.
He's in second, and he's got a 15-second gap. Now that he can definitely do. If he doesn't, if he's been running lean and he's been running like saving the car basically this entire time, and that's what he set out to do from the very first lap, then he's up for second. He's genuinely up for second with 0 pit stops. Is that 39?
Had he been in a Bentley, I would say definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the Ferrari again, potentially. The top Ferrari at the moment is currently Rats in P7 there, I think.
Yeah.
Jump a position.
Because
Montalbano's dropped down to 8.
Here's a question.
They are very close.
We'll jump on board. Oh, 1 second, I need to adjust the volume now that we're in the car because that Aston is very, very loud. So, here's a question for you then. Riding on board with Hosnick coming around the last sector of the lap, how conservative does that Aston look to you? Short shift out of that long right-hander.
Yeah, he's holding the gears like this one here. You can hear him kind of holding on to the gears. It might have been a case where other people might be dropping a gear there just to get that slightly better drive out of the corner. I would probably have to compare it against somebody else, to be honest, but there's not very many other Astons that are really kind of keeping up in terms of what gearing they're using through some of these corners there, but it doesn't look like he's pushing hard.
No.
Quite aggressive down the gears there, but again, it's certainly not. It's one of the heaviest braking points, so you'd expect, if anywhere, that would be where he would kind of put the brakes on hard. As Team Malia, and currently P7 has a drive through there. He looks as if he's actually very close to somebody.
Yep.
It's actually Rats and Sakari. Sakari is in currently P5.
Yep.
Mali is actually pulling over. He's pulled off track to the right, and he has retired.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
From what looks to be a P7, I'm not sure what his thoughts were in terms of pulling over and just giving up on there with 25 minutes to go. I don't know what the drive-through was for, but yes, that is his race over.
Wow.
And if we're following, Mr. Andrade, our Malibu McLaren, is now up to 23, but soon to be 22.
Yep. Even more points.
Indeed.
Right, where is that first place car we were riding on board?
Just coming through the final sector here.
Yeah.
Kind of quite a slow left-hander there. He's holding that higher gear there. I think it might be third gear he's holding there. Back up through the gears there, and then into this left-hander here. Generally, I like to hold a kind of tight line, exactly like Jardy, through that corner there as well. Onto the final corner, and now onto the start-finish straight. The cars ahead of him really need to be, you can see the blue flags waving there, so they need to be moving over, but they're probably on a lot fresher tyres. In fact, I guarantee they're on a lot fresher tyres because Jardy has not pitted. So he might not be catching them quite very quickly at the moment.
But if he's not, if he's not right, okay, really wild theory here. If he's not looking to pit, sitting in the draft of a Ferrari, brilliant for his fuel mileage. Not great for the heat going through the car, but it's nighttime. He's not going to be worrying about that.
No, I think the way that he's catching up on him would suggest he would rather kind of get past there.
Yeah.
I think he's quite comfortable with his pace and what he's doing. Give a little flash there just to let him know, please let me through. Even if you have the pace to keep ahead of me a little bit, you shouldn't be impeding me in any way. So please let me go. Ferrari doing the right thing, just pulling off, maybe lifting a little bit just to let him get past comfortably.
Yeah, it did look like it. And a nice bit of fresh air for the Aston.
Indeed. See what sort of split time back. Mike Noble seems to be losing a little bit of time to Hassini there. Chorus is actually only just over 3 seconds behind him there, so the Lambo is struggling in the final sort of 20 minutes of this race there. We'll see if Chorus is able to catch up, but there's quite a few cars in fairly close succession, all the way down to 8. So if Mike is really struggling there for whatever reason, maybe the tyres that he's put on were old tyres. I've seen that happen several times before.
We have, yeah.
Just by mistake, the pit strategy
very
set
quickly. 553 Ferrari jumping up the inside of the number 16 Porsche. Montalbano losing a place to Lozanov, just coming off for the Mistral straight. Goldsaw is next in line to try and take a place from Montalbano, but a 13-second gap at the last split, that's not going to be happening anytime soon.
20 minutes to go, 2 minute a lap, 2 minute lap times, essentially, or 1 minute 50, 55s probably now. Yeah, you're probably looking at around about 10 laps. 13 seconds gap, you need to be over a second a lap quicker. Yeah, it's going to be quite a big ask for him to catch up, but we'll see. But yeah, Mike, I think, seems to be struggling a little bit. There's a car between him and Koros behind him. A lapped car there, but Hosseini now 23 seconds behind Jardier. So, again, 10 laps to go. He probably is able to do a little bit more than a second a lap quicker.
Yep.
But it's actually looking as if Jardier is trying to pull off either a zero stop or a potential splash and dash at the end for fuel. I am really genuinely interested to see how that's going to play out.
Yep, absolutely. And again, we don't
It'd
have
be an absolute master play by Jardier. We know he's fast.
Yep.
I think he was pretty much in the top 10 in terms of practice and qualifying tonight. So, in fact, where did he qualify? He was in P9 for qualifying. So, we know he's fast. He's always been fast. This kind of shows slight a slight better game plan as well as strategic as well. So it's all very well being fast, but if you choose a completely wrong strategy, you can be as fast as you like. But yeah, if you're losing time because you're stopped in a pit, and if you've figured out that you can get to the end on a one tank, one set of tires, you might be doing slower lap times, and his car setup might have had to have been slightly compromised to try and do this as well. So the qualifying lap time might not have been a true indicator of his complete performance. I really hope he does go for this zero stop if he can. And if he is able to be in the top 10, doing fuel and tire saving, and still be in the top 10 with what is technically going to be a much slower car, fuel map you're running is reducing your power, then yeah, I would be absolutely blown away, to be honest.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be overly surprised by it coming from him.
No, absolutely.
There's not many people I would say could do something like this. And I think there's a very small handful of drivers that could perhaps pull off something like this. It's very easy to not even look at something like this strategy and just say it's 90 minutes. I don't have enough fuel to get 90 minutes.
Yep.
So it's a one-stop race. That's it. Don't even think about it.
Yep.
Just try and figure out when's probably the best time to pit. Whereas Jardier could very well have came to this race with some prep under his belt and said, hang on guys, I think I could probably zero stop in an Aston.
21 seconds, he's not doing it. Hosseini is not getting the gaps that he needs.
No. It needs to be over a second a minute, because there's 17 minutes to go and 21 seconds to gain.
Well, and it was 23 at 21 minutes.
Indeed.
So
he's gaining about a second a minute. Maybe not even that, to be honest.
Not even that. I
think he's not even that much faster.
No.
Maybe a second a lap, which is a second every 2 minutes.
Yes. So this is on. This is on for Honzik.
If he can pull this off, this would be an absolute masterclass of how to think out of the box.
Yes.
And really, and it'll set almost the precedent for the remaining races of the season. So all of a sudden, you might see the next 90-minute race in this season. Everybody thinking, "Oh, zero stopping is now the best strategy."
Yeah. Yeah.
With the potential having to stop if you have to for whatever reason, if it doesn't go to plan. But this is going to be very.
It really is. We've got eyes on the 39. There are battles still around the field. We've got the two Porsches of Goals and Lucky W running quite close together, huddled up
And
behind.
Name with a drive-through in P20 now.
That's upsetting. Huh? What's going on? So we now have 22 cars.
Still running.
Yep, 22 cars still running. So the field has dropped off quite a bit, unfortunately. But our red and white friend in the number 12 McLaren, 22nd in the number 12. Bit of a number consistency going on there. Just coming down the Mistral straight. Doesn't seem to have had any more incidents after that one very big off, which was very unfortunate towards the start of the race. But just pounding it around, getting the... Ooh, just getting a little bit sideways, it looked like. Coming around... Oh, I can't remember the name of the corner now. It's really annoying. Signa.
Oh, okay.
Just going a little bit tight over the bumps, getting a little bit sideways. But Mame with the drive-through. Mame. Down to 21st now.
19 seconds behind Jardy. 14, just under 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Noble dropping back to 18 seconds behind Hassini, but seems to be holding a bit of a steady gap to Porsche behind him in P4. Who has got Ciclari, who's not far behind him, so they swapped positions on the pit strategy by the looks of things, and they've pretty much been matching each other's pace from then on.
Yep.
We've got Rats currently at the top of the Ferrari boys there in P6 there, just 2.5 seconds behind Ciclari. So not too far away, and again, it just takes a little mistake, a small loss of concentration, and as I say, these guys have been running for the best part of 75 minutes now.
Honzik's in the pits.
Oh, he's pulling in.
He's pulled in.
Splash and dash.
Oh,
so,
man.
It could still potentially be a
That's the
top
second place.
podium position.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Jardia was hit by a back marker. It's coming in from chat.
Oh. So I don't know if this is required for fuel anyway, but...
So is it fuel or damage that he's pitting for then?
So Hassini...
It's not going up on the jacks.
So he's not changing tyres.
No. I think that was just fuel.
Coming round. Where is he?
I have Hassini in the first sector.
Yep. And then Noble is coming through what looks to be the last corner now.
Yep. Third position for Honzik. He's dropped down to. He's out on track. 5th as the times come through. 6th. Ah, this is heartbreaking.
If that was for damage, that is incredibly sad.
Okay, so he was going to pit for fuel, but he got hit, and so he didn't have fuel to the end, unfortunately.
Okay. But he's still in the respectable top 10 position.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which he qualified 9th. He's currently sitting 8th. He's still got 12 minutes to survive on these old tyres. Got Gold Saw, who is the next person behind him, 8.5 seconds behind him. So again, about a second a lap, he's probably okay with. So it'll be interesting to see if that gap drops at all. See if there's anyone else close to one another. There's actually a bit of a battle going on for P15 right now.
P15, yep.
I think that is the Marlboro McLaren chasing them from behind, so it's just a two-way fight here as opposed to a three-way.
Yep.
But Varela in his Ascent, black and gold Ascent, looking on the outside, well, in fact the inside, on the back straight. But he's tucked back in again behind him.
Yeah.
But he is very close. And you've got to be careful there. If he's had the pace to catch up on the Ferrari ahead, it's clear that you're obviously faster than him somewhere. And then if you're right on his bumper and you misjudge where you're faster than he is, then it's very easy to just give him a bit of a bump, send him off, and then you really have to kind of wait for him to get back and gain his position.
Yeah. We're very fortunate with, looking to the outside, looking to the inside through the final corner. 99 takes a very tight line. The 99 will have... Oh, this is going to drive. It's all the 9s, yep. And we'll have the inside line, even if it is the pace of the Aston in a straight line that's holding it. The Ferrari will have the inside line coming into turn 1. Can the Aston do anything around the outside? They're still side by side.
Right-hander, so it's give and take.
Oh, man. It looks like the Aston's just about got it now. There we go, pass complete.
A right-hander in this one, so he's got the inside line.
Yeah.
He's able to just park it on the apex and job done. And Andrade, our favourite McLaren at the moment, seems to be still in there.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a surviving McLaren.
Oh, wow.
In fact, he's actually gained a position on track. He is no longer last. He is P21. Name had a drive-through earlier on, and I think he's probably given up by the fact he is still starting in the pits.
Yeah, he's dropped into the pits, and 3 laps
21
down.
Again, more points.
Yep. It goes to show how important just keeping going, keeping chipping away at those laps is. We don't say it for nothing.
So 7 seconds of gap between Goldsaw now behind Jardy.
Yes.
So I'm impressed that the Aston managed to get essentially 80 minutes, or the best part of 80 minutes, through that 90-minute race so far.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much fuel he had. I don't know if they had to fuel when he did, or whether he decided, I have to fuel, I've got a little bit of damage, may as well get that fixed and fuel up at the same time.
I don't know
how much damage he had.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was always going to be...
It's probably not. Depending on how heavy a contact it was, it might not be worth fixing either.
No. So Rats has now caught up with Seclari, who was dropping...
side by side.
Off. Yep, side by side coming down the Mistral straight round the outside. Rats makes it look easy for the Ferrari there.
Indeed. So I don't know if that was a mistake by the Porsche.
I don't know.
Porsche should have been good there.
Yeah, but the Ferrari in the draft, being able to use Montalbano.
Drive through from Montalbano.
Oh, that's gonna hurt a lot.
It is. He's got several cars that are probably going to profit from that.
Yep.
I don't know how. I'll be interested to see how long that drive through, how much it costs.
Yeah, we'll have to keep.
I think it's probably going to be in the region of about a good 15-20 seconds for a drive through.
Yeah,
at a very speculative guess.
What's that going to drop him down to? That's going to drop him down what? Out of the 10th? Yeah. Once he's back up to speed, that will be 11th, possibly even 12th.
Coming in to serve it now.
So,
it's painful.
Yep. Always is. Seclari has Lozanov behind him now.
Honda gains the position, P7. Goldsaw gains the position, P8. Goals gains up to 9th, it will be. Lucky W, and Lucky W certainly looks he will profit. Cryptic as well. Let's see where he's just coming out the pit lane now, coming into turn 1.
Is Wonko anywhere near in the 44?
I think Cryptic got past.
If Lucky got past, then...
Wonko is on the start-finish, he's just crossing the line now, so I think he's going to be down in P13. Cryptic got past, who's in P12.
Ah, okay.
Sorry, yes, so they'll switch.
Yeah,
yes,
that's it.
To P12.
So Seclari now losing a position to Lozanov in the straight, so that Porsche either carrying damage or just not as quick as it used to be. Maybe he is running light on fuel, and with 6 minutes to go, he's not feeling confident down that Mistral straight running in the richest engine mode.
Indeed, and Clary seems to have dropped a position to Lozanov.
Yeah.
Another Ferrari has just got past him. I think it was pretty much on that back straight as well.
Absolutely it was.
So maybe he's struggling. Perhaps, I mean, he was pretty much matching Koros's lap times. Koros now in a fantastic podium position there. Only 6 seconds behind Noble. Just under 6 minutes left to go. So I don't know that there's many people that are really close enough to be challenging.
In that last sector alone, Rats closed up 0.3 to Chorus in the 27.
2 seconds. There's 2 second gap.
Yeah, there's a potential there for a last lap fight.
Indeed, it could probably be about 3 laps left to race, depending on when Hassini crosses the line.
Yeah.
So that is going to be one to watch there to see if that develops. Cryptic is not far away from Lucky W. It's just under a second, but I don't know how much that gap has been changing. We've got Varela in P14, not far from Oneco. See if that's, he's very close now actually on the back straight. Start finish rate. I'm going to go around the track backwards, I think, because the number of times I've mixed those backwards and forwards is getting quite, I mean, amateurish.
you do that. It'll make taking Signa a lot easier. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure about what is actually the first section. That might make it harder.
Rats just closing a little bit more again. 1.8, no 1.9 really. So he's just edging away every corner, just gaining a little bit. I think Koros was one of the earlier ones to pit, and I don't recall when Rat did come in.
Chorus?
I think it was after.
Yeah, I think Chorus was basically on 45 minutes. I think Rats was a bit later.
Yeah, so fresher tyres perhaps might certainly give him a chance at a potential podium here.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting to see if the Ferrari coming from that far back? Because Rats started 8th or 9th, low 10s if I remember correctly.
Aurelia and Oneco side by side in the fast right-hander at the end of the back straight. Still side by side there, it looks like. Oneco just, he's holding on, he's on the inside.
Yeah. I
think that Aston Martin did seem to have the pace, so he's probably just said, tell you what, you go for it, because Makuru is not too far behind. If I let you past, I lose 1 position. I battle and fight, there's a chance of losing 2 positions.
Yep, those 3 seconds will disappear in the snap of a fingers if you do try and defend too hard. But that is Varela up to 14th.
Indeed.
More 13th, sorry.
I think was about 6 seconds behind Jardier now. So Jardier looking healthy for the P7 finish there.
Yeah.
Kind of donated 1 position from Montalbano's drive-through there. Such a shame there because he was holding a solid, I think he was P4, P5.
Yes.
I think he was P5 because he... Oh, was he? Yeah.
He may even have been as high as I think he was 3rd.
No, he was behind
wasn't that
4.
far. Yeah.
But he might have been 4th.
Yeah.
Fair.
Those 2 Ferraris working together, it seems. Well, they were working together to get past the Clary, definitely.
Yeah.
Chorus seems to have responded to the push from Rats behind. That will be the kind of splits that they have access to in their cars.
Yep.
And the gap now leveling out around 1.6 seconds, so that won't be...
Capo making a move on Amato for 17th, not quite able to make the job, make the pass there on the outside. Amato taking a defensive line on the inside there, able to hold off the Porsche. Looks as if the Porsche has got the legs at the moment there. Perhaps again tyre wear really coming into effect there. Just a minute and a half left of the timer there, and then whenever the leader Hassini crosses a line at that point, finished that lap, and that is race done. So he's running out of time. He's fast on this back straight here. The Porsche, we've seen it before, good on that straight, certainly in a draft. Don't think he's quite close enough to really challenge. And I think the Ferrari is quite happy. I think he's not quite close enough, but it has compromised the line, and he's done the cutback. He has made the Ferrari take the defensive line, which compromises the line through that corner. He's able to hold the line himself and get a good exit, cut back underneath the Ferrari, and use that superior traction of the 911 to good use. And he looks as if he is able to hold on to it there. Just needs another lap or two to go, I suspect.
Yeah.
For these guys.
And that's what we were trying to see. So the leader's on the final lap now.
Indeed.
So the time will count down from the 23 seconds that we're sitting at the moment. That move that the 991 just pulled on Amato in the Ferrari. That's what we were trying to see. I think it was Seclari trying to do to Noble.
Cryptic having a look on the inside of Lucky W for P10 there. It's in the inside that made a little bit of contact there. I don't know if that was the Porsche kind of holding maybe a bit too tight a line there when there was a car on the inside. The Audi gains position. He's now in the top 10 with 1 lap to go once he crosses the line.
Yep.
So battling all the way up to the very end. Exactly what I want to see.
Yeah, and of course the most respectful battling as well.
Indeed.
My dashboard
Rats just over a second and a half behind Koros now, so I think he is out of time to be able to attack for a podium, but perhaps it may have only been a couple more laps and he would have caught up with him.
Absolutely. But then time is what it's all about.
He's coming through into the last sector now, the long right-hander there, double right-hander.
Honzik has caught up to Seclari in the last sector of the last lap of this 90... No. It's onto the Mistral Straight. He's going to drive past off of the...
Is that Porsche saving fuel?
As he run out of fuel.
A lot of positions over the last laps. But Hassini coming through the last corner now onto the start-finish straight. The dominant win from pole to start to finish. Checkered flag, the win for Hassini. Takes away that winning streak from Seclari. It is 2-1. And let's see where Hassini is in the championship just now. Because that will be interesting there. Hassini is currently in 10th because of a bit of a awful first race. I mixed him up and Honzik before. Honzik's actually P4 in the championship at the moment, to the 6th and the 3rd. That's Noble crossing the line as well.
Yep.
And for a solid P2.
Yep. Chorus crosses, holds on
the podium.
Yep.
A fantastic drive there, because at the first half of the race, before the pit stops, I think he was around about P6 or so, and a very sensible holding off, not attacking the 2 cars ahead of him, and gaining from it by probably having good tyre life at the end, and be able to go a little bit longer there.
Yep.
As the other last 4 cars are coming in to complete their lap, final lap here.
How far do we get down to? So Jadier Honzik across the line in 6th position, so a absolutely mammoth achievement.
Seclari on that last lap.
Yep, absolutely. Seclari will come home in 7th. Fuel saving, it seemed, for at least the last 5 minutes of that race. Goldsaw will come home in 8th, finally getting some points on the board in that 666 Ferrari. Goals will come home in 9th position. Cryptic will come home in 10th. Montalbano, after that late drive-through penalty, will almost get back into the top 10, but not quite. Lucky W in the 19 will come home in 12th. Varela 13th, Wonko 14th, Makuro, Machowski, Guniesu, Amato, Dijon, and Andrade will finish 20th come
Pallets
the end of the race. with Halley's 21. So,
what a race at the end there. And if only Charlie could have managed to somehow pull some magic out of the bag
that
to have
absolutely,
gotten a zero-stop strategy. I so hoped he was going to be able to do that.
absolutely.
Unfortunately, not quite. I think probably many other cars he could have possibly done that. I think the Aston, although it's a V8 flavoured Aston, is still quite a thirsty beast. So, a very impressive race strategy from him for sure.
Absolutely. Brought it up from, well, I don't know. You have to wonder what caused him to try and go so long. It sounded from chat as though he was always going to be pitting, which made you think, well, why didn't he go sooner? But then maybe he wanted to run long and just run that splash and dash at the end. It worked out for him in the end.
Indeed, yes. Yeah, I mean, and this is it. Or again, going back to, you just kind of almost write off that there's not really any different strategy to take. It is just a simple, I don't have enough fuel in the tank for no stopping, so it has to be a one-stop race.
Yep.
Now, again, granted, if he'd have been in the Bentley, yes, it's maybe not one of the best cars on the grid, but if you can not have to pit for a race like that, I think you would gain a lot of positions from doing that, even at the expense of the car not being a super fast contender in terms of outright pace.
Yeah, well, we
Being
saw.
able to save 50 seconds
Yeah,
thereabouts is massive, even for a 90-minute race.
absolutely.
A free minute of racing, it's like a minute's head start.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
So, yeah.
regardless of tyre life, regardless of how the performance of the car is, you can park it on the apex. The only thing that you're really going to struggle down, especially with this track, is the Mistral Straight. But then,
Indeed.
as long as you can get a decent launch off of the left-hander onto it, who cares really? And that Bentley especially has always been a very stable platform. You can very much fire and forget with the throttle. And just let the car do its thing onto the straight. So it would have been a very interesting proposition for the Bentley for this race. We've got our third place finisher, Chorus,
Indeed.
in the ready to interview room. So we'll drag him in very briefly.
I'll drop down and see if anyone else wants to have a little chat.
Good man. Yes, I can hear you, Chorus. Congratulations, a third place for the Porsche 911.
Yes.
Talk us through how you saw the race.
Chaos, completely chaos. I would say I have no idea what I'm doing, but it worked. And the first stint, the first 45 minutes were fine. I had gap to the front and to the back. I was very confident in my pace, and then the Mercedes, the Cavalion, or how his name was in front of me. And Kevin Seclari.
Yep.
We were battling for the third place at this point, and it was complete chaos at this moment. I didn't know, does he make now his move, and can I maybe try? But he tried then the undercut against him, and I go one lap later into the pits to undercut him, and it worked. It worked fabulously. And only Cavillon was left, and he was then in front of me, but I could make time against him again. And then he got the drive-through, and this was just the point where I was third place, but it wasn't so. It was still Honzik in P1, and I was thinking, hopefully he pits, because I wanted this third place. So, and yeah, the second stint was just pushing, and at the end I lost complete the pace, and Samuel Watts could come pretty close, and one lap more and he would get me. And
absolutely.
This wasn't the case.
But then
I'd say that was planned to perfection then, some could say.
Absolutely.
But again, another properly solid, great result there. Another podium position. You were third in race 1, fourth race 2, currently third in the championship. Two guys ahead of you tonight, Montalbano, obviously dropping down to, I think it was about 14th or so.
Yeah.
So you'll be gaining on him in terms of points. In fact, you will jump him because you're only 3 points behind him.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you would certainly take into P2. Clary, I think, was about 6th or 7th tonight.
Yeah, he had to save fuel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Clary was 7th in the end.
And he was behind Jardy in the end, wasn't he? So, yeah.
Love it.
So again, another eating away at his point lead as well. So
Yeah,
one
so
position gained and points on the leader as well.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Strong season so far. Well done.
I try to keep it up. I had
Yeah.
too much fuel. I had 20 liters too much, but I like more 20 liters than too less.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. For sure.
Oh, the hell, right.
Yeah, no, congratulations. You sound absolutely exhausted. Go and get yourself a drink and have a chill out and rest in the knowledge that you're currently second in the championship and a lot of momentum to be had for the future races.
Yeah, I'm completely done.
You sound it, mate. You really do. Definitely time for a drink.
Yeah,
For sure. No,
Right.
well done. Well done.
thank you.
So we're going to drag in a familiar voice to those of you following the F3 in Assetto Corsa, but we drag in our winner, Mali Bacho.
Yes.
Congratulations. I'm at this point completely used to hearing your voice, so this is perfectly normal for me. Talk us through. Please talk me through your race.
Well, did you brief everyone that I'm not from the split you're streaming?
Oh, didn't you? No, you didn't. I thought you were Hassini.
No.
I thought your name was weird. Damn it.
I'm just trolling
Did
you.
you
Yeah.
did you win in tier 2 then?
Tier 4.
Oh, tier 4. Okay, congratulations nonetheless. But we're looking for tier 1 drivers, but no one seems to be turning up.
Yeah, well,
Did you even have a commentary team covering your race? You come
Yeah.
into the ready for interview, John. That is a proper troll. Well
Yep.
played, sir.
No,
Well,
absolutely.
no. Ike called me in.
No,
I just said,
he said
I said, "I'll stop by." He said, "Come over."
He said, dude, alarm bell started ringing when you said earlier about driving the Ferrari. I was like, but a Mercedes. Maybe you changed car. Maybe you changed name. I don't know. But,
I'm not changing the prancing horse. So, what was the winning strategy in Tier 2?
it was a one
we're
stop for
covering
us.
tier 1.
Yeah, we're on tier 1.
So you're promoted.
Temporary.
Yeah, temporarily so.
We kicked out after tonight.
Hopefully we're kicked out for tonight. I missed the Bentleys. And I missed the more McLarens. But yeah, no. The winning strategy here tonight was the 92 Mercedes of Hassini with a one stop, and just
Start to finish.
Yep, start to
Dominant,
finish.
really.
Did he swap tires?
Don't know. Probably.
I think the only person that didn't was Hans. I think Jardy went, and he went to about the 70-minute mark or 75-minute mark before he had to pit just for fuel.
Yeah.
So he was actually leading for a very long time, and there was that slight glimmer of the chance that he was going to zero stop. But unfortunately, he did need the fuel. Yeah.
So I had a 10-second gap to P1. I was in 3rd place, and first two guys were battling. They stopped mid-race, but I extended and stopped like 25 minutes to go, and I did not change tires. I thought it was the
Right.
only way to get ahead of them.
Yeah.
And it really worked, but oh my god, last 10 or 15 minutes we were 1 second clear of each other.
Wow.
Mhm.
So any mistakes, and I was making a proper amount of them due to bad tires. Any mistakes, and yeah, it's gone.
Yep. No, that sounds absolutely normal. It's similar to what we had in what we had here. We had a lot of drive-throughs as well.
I was going to pick up on that, to be honest. There seem to be a lot of people that have not destroyed the race, but for the tiniest of advantage of gaining the cut, gaining the time in the lap that you get from cutting a corner, to get a drive-through. So you're maybe gaining 0.1 of a second through that one corner.
Yep.
But then you're having to donate about 20 seconds plus for the drive-through. So
Yeah.
it just shows how much these guys are right on the kind of ragged edge where they're committed to that ultimate optimal line. and just a slight misjudgment or mistake will end up going over the white line. Obviously, you can then lift, so you shouldn't get that penalty. But I think a lot of people just kind of
Ignore
maybe
it.
wrongly assume that they won't and they can get away with it. And it comes back to bite them very, very hard. I think we had somebody certainly in the top 6, top 5 that I think he was 4th, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was fourth or 5th that Montalbano was when he
got the drive through.
when he got the drive through with 10 minutes to go.
And ended up coming out the pits in 14th. I don't know if he gained a couple after that or not.
Montalbano, he did eventually get up to 11th. No, I think he dropped down to 12th and he got past... No, he didn't even get past Lucky. I think whoever it was dropped down the grid, so must have made a mistake of some description. That's a shame. That's a shame. But yeah, absolutely, comparatively ruined his race from a very, very simple, or a series of simple mistakes.
Indeed.
But that's really unfortunate. But congratulations to you in Tier 4, Mally. I don't think we are going to get any more drivers coming.
I don't think anyone else will talk to us.
No, I'm actually really upset and insulted. We always have a queue of drivers coming in from Tier 2, and everyone loves to talk to us. So maybe they think that we're just not nice enough.
To be fair, having a look at the channel, there's not an awful lot of people still in that channel,
No,
and
there
a
isn't.
lot of them are muted. So I think they're in there because we kind of almost have to be, but there's a lot of drivers in there that are missing there, I guess. Obviously, people like Jardy, where I'd love to have had a chat to him tonight.
Yeah.
Obviously, he does his own streaming there, so he doesn't really come into this Discord. But yeah, I think that's pretty much going to be it.
Yep, no, absolutely. An excellent race from start to finish. Or it looked like a dominant display, but it really was not the story of the race. A whole 90 minutes of action up and down the grid. Not a dull moment on track at all. Especially sitting here in the com box as well, having access to the timing screens and that sort of thing. Thank you very much, Andrex, for joining me. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Mally, for your win in Tier 4. I've been Eike Sky, and you have been watching the Assetto Corsa Competizione GT3 League Elite Tier. And hopefully I will speak to you all back in our normal seat in Tier 2 next time out. In the meantime, have a lovely evening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.
Night.